Okay, so today we're going to break down a chicken, and I've got one right here. Looks pretty good. It's not all bruised up. It's not all tore up. You want the skin to be in good shape. You don't want any kind of funky smell. So, you know, I mean, you guys know all those things. Used to be back in culinary school, we had to break this down to 8 pieces in 1 minute. And you can do that. That's not hard to do. So, I'm going to show you how I'm going to break this down, get all the good stuff out of this. Start off with, I'm going to take my slightly flexible boning knife. I'm going to go right here in the joint and I'm going to remove that wing. Now you want to go kind of right in the middle of where the elbow meets. You want to separate the joint. You don't want to tear that up really badly. Now of course you want to keep this part. There's no damn meat on this part, so this can go in stock. This, however, of course, is chicken wings, so we're going to save that for later on. We're going to put that right there. Same thing on the other side. So we'll go ahead and take those off. Okay, and you just got to shoot for that joint. And if you miss, back up, take another stab at it. And again, that's stock. That's buffalo sauce. All right. So now we're going to remove the legs. But we want to keep the skin intact. So we'll slice through the skin all the way down, and now you want to disjoint the thighs. Get a little closer if you don't see this. You want to hear this. Crack. Okay, so you want to break the joint loose of the body. Now you want to lay the chicken on its side, and you want to cut forward. And I'm using kind of the heel of the knife for this. Cut forward to that socket, and then grab the bone with your thumb. Keep the knife anchored and pull back. Now I need a little more of the skin loose. Pull back, and maybe you get the oyster out. I'll show you that in a minute. That's a leg quarter right there. Okay, so we're going to flip the chicken over this way. And I'm sorry to you left-handed people, but I can only do this right-handed. And I'm going to do the same thing. Whoop, got a little piece of onion skin there. I'm going to start at the tuchus of the chicken, and I'm going to move forward. And I'm going to set the blade in the socket right there, and I'm going to peel forward. And what you're shooting for is this piece of meat right here. It's called the oyster. Unfortunately, on both occasions I've missed it. It'll end up in the stock pot. But if I remove it, it's this little, basically quarter-size piece of meat that is considered one of the tenderest, most flavorful pieces of meat in the whole chicken. And there you can see it on the leg quarter. Okay. Now these we're going to separate. We're going to use these for chicken cacciatore later on. Now, if you pull back, notice this vein of fat right here. You got one that runs parallel to the thigh bone, and you've got one that runs across it. If you find that and you cut down that, you will go right in the middle of the joint. And that's one of the hardest joints to hit. But Chef Tom Smith taught me that a long time ago. Find that vein of fat and cut right across that, and that'll take care of it for you. Now I got the skin intact. I've got the oyster on this thigh. This is the best meat. To me, when I ate chicken, this was what I liked. I like dark meat. So there's that. And again, let me show you that. Right there is that vein. And you can feel the joint. If you run your finger along there, you can feel the head of the femur and the head of this, whatever this is called. Roll it back, and you got a nice clean cut in between the joints. Lay the skin up. Keep the skin intact. We may want that, which we will today. We're going to put the thigh there. We'll put the leg here. Okay, so these are for later on, and you guys can put yours in the pan too. We'll have to put that on ice or slip it in the cooler. Now we're ready to get down to business, get to the good stuff. That's the white meat, which personally I'm not a big fan of. I always find white meat a little dry, but if you handle it right, it's nice and it has a good presentation. Take your knife, pull up on the saddle. This is called the saddle, the forepart of the chicken. And you're going to push the blade through and cut carefully out. You wing, fly out of that, and then cut your partner or me worse. Okay, now I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to grab it by the back end here. I'm going to run the knife down the side, and I'm going to slip it down the side of the spine. It's going to be a little noisy. Listen. And you'll cut all those rib bones. Now go down the other side, so lay the knife right along the side of the spine. If you need to, you can go back and make a second cut. but remove that spine. That's what that is. This is the spine of the chicken. Okay, there's not much in there that we're going to eat or we're going to sell, but there's a lot of meat and a lot of connective tissue in there. So we want that for our stock pot. Okay, and let's see. That's that pocket where that oyster was. Over here, it's still in place. You know, I could cut it out. There's no real reason to. But, you know, that's just a mark of pride to be able to get the oyster too. Yeah. All right, so back to the good part. Now we're going to flip it around so that the drummies face us. We're going to take the knife and make a little cut right there in the middle of the keel bone. The rigid end of the keel bone. Pick up the breast, open it up, run your thumb along the keel. Didn't separate there very well. It's okay, I can do that by hand. Smooth out that keel bone. And now you just grab that and peel it back. And typically that will take out the keel with it. Man, this chicken, it's not working for me. That's all right. I can just take my knife and go down two sides. Now this keel, what is this? Y'all remember that from Chef Muller's demo? Cartilage. That's collagen. Or cartilage in this case, and it'll break down into gelatin. Long, slow cook. So I want this part in my stock pot for sure. That can go in as well. Now I've got a double breast separate with rib on, and I need to take that off. To do that, I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to run it gently underneath. Now try to locate the wishbone, because it'll be up here in the corner. We want to get that off too. So I'm going to go up. Keep the drummy underneath the breast. Stay close to the rib cage. Follow this, which is the collarbone, right up here to the where it meets the drum, and trim it loose. Okay, that's the rib cage. That's not good eats, so that's going away. Here's my wishbone, still stuck in, so I'm going to go underneath that with just the tip of the knife and cut that out. Now on the other side, it'll be easier to see some of this, and always feel for any leftover bone or cartilage. We may need to clean that up a little bit. Just lay the knife down and fillet across the breast. You got the tenderloin right here, and you want to be really careful to leave that attached. So don't get too rough with that. Slice towards, keep the drum underneath. That's how you keep from slicing the drumstick off. Here's that clavicle, the collarbone. We're going to cut down to the drum, find that joint, and separate. So cut down, keep on this side of the drum, get into that joint, find that joint, and separate it. And that's the other side of the rib cage. A little bit of meat on there, not much. Doing okay. And here's the other half of the drum, or the other half of the wishbone. If you can just peel that out. Run your fingers along here, look for any chunks, anything that feels bone-like. It probably is. Okay, so flip it over. I've got a nice amount of skin still left on. Okay, keep that little bit of cartilage right there. I'll get that here in just a second. Now we'll separate the two breasts. This one here, and now we can clean it up. So we got this long excess skin. That's good for stock. Run your hand along here, make sure you got out all that keel. That's a big old wad of fat right there. That can come off. Check this really closely. Got a little bit of cartilage right there, so I'm going to put the skin underneath, and I'm going to cut that out. Make sure I don't serve that to my guest. And that's a really nice airline breast of chicken right there. Ooh. Now some people will go to the extra step, take that off too. We'll go to the extra step of Frenching the bone. They'll cut around the top of the bone and scrape the meat down so you got this bare bone sticking up. Not a fan. I don't want to see the bone on my plate. I would honestly rather not have the bone at all. That's a lot of meat too. That's why they sell that for chicken wings. Okay, let me do this other one real quick. Just clean it up. So lay out your skin. Any of this excess flopping around over here, yucky stuff, I mean, that fat is flavor, so throw that in the stock pot. Don't throw it away. And then we're gonna take off this tail right here, clean it up, flip it over. This fat down here, I wanna take that off. A little bit of it, I don't have to get all of it. Some of it'll cook off too. I don't want a big old wad of fat on my plate either. That's nasty. Run your fingers along that edge, right here, right here. Okay, that's of the two, that's certainly my best one. So you got that nice bit of skin. You're gonna save these. We're gonna cook one of them. I think we've got 1 chicken per student. So you each get a shot at this. Now look, I see, well, we'll cover that here in a minute. Okay, any questions? And banana.